Hello there, welcome to this video. My name is Thomas, I'm a visual artist and illustrator from Belgium. Today I'm gonna try something a little bit different. Usually if you have seen my videos before, I make videos about my artistic process, so you can see the things I draw, why I draw them, and how I draw them. But in those videos I don't really talk that much, it's mostly just getting a glimpse into my process, like over my shoulder kind of thing. But sometimes I want to talk about something a little bit more in depth, and then I don't feel like I want to put it into those videos, because then it just becomes like one big piece of rambling for me. So I'm gonna do the rambling in these types of videos, where I just take the time to do some talking. I guess it's kind of a conversation between the two of us. Kind of a one-sided conversation, obviously, but if you want to react to anything I say, which are, by the way, just my thoughts, my opinions, you can always leave a comment, obviously, down here. I'm also not going to be showing really anything on the screen, maybe later one or two things, so if you want, you can also like just put this on in the background, kind of podcast style, I guess. Yeah, this is the first one. I'm also just quickly going to say I'm not going to cut anything from this video. Maybe if I start coughing or just like zone out for a minute and I'm thinking about what I want to say, then I might cut it out in editing. But I wanna keep it quite natural. Just like I said, kind of a conversation. If you read the title already, you know that today we're going to be talking about tattooing and art and how they're connected for me, how they are related to each other. And then a little bit of a new thing for me. If you've never been here, or if you have seen my videos, you probably noticed that I have some tattoos, mostly on my arms, also some on my legs. But tattooing is something that has been something that I've been interested in for a long time. Right now I'm 25 years old. I think like probably 8-7 years ago I started getting interested in tattooing or in tattoos in general. Mostly through YouTube videos, I think, of me watching YouTube videos about, you have a bunch of very interesting interviews and like many docu-series about old school traditional tattooers. And then that way I kind of got into the culture of tattooing, I guess. I got really interested in that. There's also a bunch of great tattooers that are making videos today. Like, for example, Wayne Fredrickson is someone that's, I think, about 5 years ago, I really started watching his videos and I got really interested in. He does this old school American traditional style tattooing, which really, clicked with me. The kind of the vibe of it, the image of the outlaw, the kind of the biker type thing. Not that I really see myself as an outlaw or a biker, but like the idea around it, the culture, the tradition. Is something that really that sparked interest in me. And then that kind of got carried through. And then I think I got my first real tattoo at 19 years old, which here on the back of my arm. And then after that, the past 6 years, I didn't really stop. I think right now I have just under 20 tattoos, and they're mostly all in the more traditional style. If you don't know what like American traditional means or anything, don't worry. It's just I always just explain it as like if you think about tattooing, like that one uncle you have that has a tattoo, it's that type of tattoo. Very simple, very sometimes even like a little bit badly drawn, but they're really designs that stand the test of time, I feel. Some of the designs I have on me are more than 100 years old. There's also very much a tradition of reusing designs, making them your own a little bit, but it's really around like a image language that keeps getting reinvented, but also keeps getting used again in a new, like in a slightly different style, or sometimes exactly like they were used like 50 years ago, 100 years ago. There's also something that really interests me around traditional tattooing. I'm also, by the way, I'm just letting myself ramble now. I don't really often give myself the chance. So it might be that I get sidetracked. I have like a couple of things written down here that I want to talk about. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing, how I got into tattoos, why I like tattoos, I guess. And then more recently, or like very recently, or no, I'm gonna frame this differently. Obviously, when you're interested in tattoos and you're also a visual artist, at some point you kind of have this overlap, or like you realize, okay, obviously a big part of tattooing is also drawing. I can draw. I have a master's degree in visual arts. And then other people ask you, oh yeah, I see you have tattoos. Do you draw your own tattoos? Do you make tattoos? Is there anything like that? And also you get like these thoughts yourself, maybe should I be tattooing? Should I make tattoo designs? And there's something that I've been really thinking about for a long time. I think already like from when I was studying visual arts, that's something that was getting sparked in my head most of the time. But for me, tattooing is something that's really, it's very special to me as well. I mean, I think tattooing is something very special. It's something that's very, still very close to like a craft. It's not like, for me, I think today we are very, obviously I'm not going to do like a society rant, but I mean, obviously everyone knows that everything today is very much oriented towards being very fast paced, very, also like replaceable maybe is a good word. While tattooing for me always has had this this connotation of being a craft, something you really have to learn to get into, really have to master, because it's very technical as well. So I always had this idea like, okay, maybe I want to try learning to tattoo someday, but I want to really do it at the right moment, that I feel like I can really put everything into it, and I really want to do it, and I really want to like also just take the time to really learn it. And then if you know a little bit about tattoo culture, there's this thing called apprenticeships, where you basically go into a existing tattooer that can be like become your mentor, and that's the classical way of how people used to learn to tattoo. And I'm telling all this to come to the point you maybe already could guess, is that I've recently started to learn to tattoo. I came to a point a couple of, like I think a little under 2 months ago, where I really like start to think about it more seriously. I was like, okay, because if you don't know, I have a day job, or like I work part-time as a teacher as well in visual arts, and then aside from that, I do my own visual artwork. I started to like think about more like about more realistically, like if I want to start to learn to tattoo, how would I go about it? Would I try to get an apprenticeship? But and then I was like kind of looking around, but that really it wasn't really realistic for me, because I obviously have this day job. A lot of the time when you're doing an apprenticeship, you really have to also put a lot of hours in just being there and not really learning, but just helping the people who work there, or that's at least the classical idea you have of it. Like back in the day, you used to like just like mop the floors, I guess, at the first few weeks, and then you could like start looking over the shoulder. But all of that, I've kind of felt like, okay, maybe that's not for me, because I think it's kind of, I would have done it, I think, or I would try it if I had more time for it, because I just have to also purely financial. I can't take the commitment of like completely focusing on the tattooing. But then I did think, okay, I have this part-time job, and I have part-time that I just work for my own artistic stuff. I can put that into tattooing, and I can put that time I have there completely into tattooing and learning the craft. That's what I started to do. I also ordered all the materials. Maybe also just another sidetrack is that today I think there's a lot of tattooers that start. I think tattooing has become very popular in the last 5 to 10 years. Which also means that it has become more mainstream, as they say. And there's also a lot of people who start tattooing today. Or a lot of people who want to start tattooing, which is obviously perfectly fine. I think it's also very good for tattooing. It makes it more mainstream. It also makes it that it gets less looked down upon, because obviously there's still taboo around tattoos. But I do think I really wanted to, because I know there's people who just buy a tattoo machine and then just like do whatever, or they just like start tattooing everyone, or just start tattooing themselves without really knowing anything about it. Mostly also a lot of people who don't even know how to draw, because that's one big thing that I think is the difference between maybe me and a lot of other people who start tattooing. Obviously, I have a master's in visual arts. I've been drawing all my life. The drawing part of tattooing is something I already can do, and that makes it. I also have felt like in the process of learning, I felt that it makes it a lot easier for me, because I know how you have to move your wrist. It's very natural for me. I know how an image is built. But aside from that, I think there's a lot of people who it's also very easy nowadays to get a tattoo machine, to get supplies. So I think there's also a lot of people who just buy a tattoo machine or like call themselves a tattooer while they don't really put the time into it, or don't really take it seriously. Maybe that's the thing. And I don't want to judge anyone, because obviously you do what you want to do. But for me, it was really, I wanted to make this a commitment. So I really did my research about what I wanted to buy, what kind of machine. Also, I bought everything that is needed for doing it safely, for like at a medical level. I have everything to like sterilize surfaces, to sterilize the skin. That's something I found really important, especially when I started tattooing other people, that it would be safe, that I don't bring other people into danger just because I want to start tattooing, because that would be kind of fucked up, I think. So I started to learn to tattoo just on my own. I started also doing research about learning to tattoo. I also realized that nowadays there's so much you can find online. There's a lot of courses, there's a lot of YouTube videos. Obviously, I still much more condone doing it in person with someone. For me, that was not the easiest thing in my situation. If I ever get a chance to get mentored, I think I would do it still if it fits into my lifestyle at that point. But now I'm just doing a lot of trial and error. I'm tattooing like the fake skins, doing a lot of drawing as well, because obviously there's still a difference between knowing how to draw and knowing how to draw for a tattoo, because there's a lot of differences, but I'm going to go further into that later, I think. So for example, I've been tattooing these like fake skins. You've probably seen before if you know anything about tattooing. I've been using these for a while, and then I also got a chance recently to actually do my first tattoo on a other person, because I did also do a couple on my own leg, because that's kind of the way you start, I guess, getting the feeling of tattooing on real skin. I also really felt like, okay, maybe if I get to the point that I can trust myself enough on a technical level to put something on my own leg, then I can also expect maybe someone else would be comfortable by in giving their own skin for learning, I guess, because it's still, obviously I'm still very much learning. So my best friend actually let me tattoo his leg a couple of days ago, and I'm very happy with the result. I can put it up on the screen. It's still not obviously perfect. Obviously it's not perfect. I'm very much still learning. But I'm also really having a lot of fun with it, and I really feel myself like getting better. I also feel like when I make a mistake, I can really clearly see what mistakes I make. At this point, I feel it's mostly, obviously like staying consistent, doing consistent work. That's something that comes with experience, I guess. But yeah, so I'm learning to tattoo. That's, I think, just one of the things that I wanted to say in this video. Also, something you can start to expect to see a little bit of in my videos, because I am, if you didn't notice, I'm also trying to upload weekly now. The videos where I like show my process really, where I show what I've done in the last week. And at first I was like kind of like, okay, I'm still learning to tattoo, so I don't really want to show it. So the last few weeks I didn't film any of the learning process, because I didn't really feel comfortable, and also because then you're like thinking about filming and about doing the tattooing, and I just wanted to let the tattooing be really something I can focus on. But now I came to a point where I realized that I won't have any footage to show you guys at some point, when I'm just filming only my normal drawing and illustration work. because at this point it's just that tattooing is taking up a lot of time in this process. So you will probably start seeing smaller parts of me making some designs, maybe making some drawings for tattoos. I maybe will also be talking a little bit more about them in the future. I don't think I will be showing like the real tattooing itself yet, because that's something I still really, if I have the opportunity to tattoo on someone, I really want to have full focus on doing that, not on the filming. But maybe in the future that will also become a part of it. But I wanted to kind of also make this video so that it's not really, like, super random. When you see in the next video, you suddenly see me like making tattoo designs. That would be very strange, maybe. If you don't know my work, that wouldn't be that strange. But then coming to a point where it is like when I talk about like making tattoo designs, I think that's also something I kind of want to touch upon. I already mentioned like the traditional tattooing. That's something I'm really interested in. I'm really into, and that's something I also take as a I don't know the word in English. I look at it a lot for guidance and for like reference. I think traditional tattooing is traditional because it's, like I said, stands the test of time, and it's for me still for me personally, I'm very biased because that's just the style I like, obviously. But I think it's the best style of tattooing because it's really based upon tattoos that last, that stay in your skin for a long time, that also stay very readable. Not going to go into it too much. But I want to learn to do traditional tattooing, and the way that I want to learn how the designs are built, what the vision is behind the visual language. As I said, it's a lot of time very simple, very stylized imagery. But I want to obviously put my own twist on it. I'm a visual artist myself. I have my own style, my own artistic style. But I want to like get it to a point where I can both do the traditional stuff, but I can also like do a hybrid of my own style and the traditional. And I think if you know my work, you might be able to get a reference of if it's right what I'm saying. But I think that my style also kind of leans towards the traditional tattooing style in the way that I also make very simple drawings visually. They're often very bold, like line work. Maybe just like thematically, it's obviously it is very differently. But I'm very confident that I can come to a point where I can make both a interesting design that's both seen. If you can like get a feeling for if you're into traditional tattooing, but also if you're into the more illustration work. I don't really think I want to go into the purely illustrational tattoos. That's something that also gets done a lot nowadays. I think a lot of illustrators who make the step to who like step over to tattooing or also learn to tattoo, they start tattooing purely illustration work, like they're also their own style, which is often very cool and very fun. But I think I'm kind of still navigating myself into that world, like because I very much value the tradition part of American traditional tattooing. And the usage of images, the redesigning of images. So that's something I'm not really completely... I think it's also just going to be something that's going to be more clear when I start actually making designs. Also, obviously, when people, if they want to get this tattooed by me, what they want. Because I have heard a lot in the past that some of my drawings that people ask, like, oh, would this be something that I can get tattooed? Do you tattoo? Or they ask like if they can use a drawing of me to get tattooed. So I do think that there's a possibility and that my drawings do translate well into tattoos. But yeah, a little bit of a rambling part again. Don't really know where I'm going with it. But yeah, so I want to start like honing my own artistic style in the tattooing a little bit more. I want to see where I can get, what point I can get to. Now it is summer. And I want to, obviously I'm just going to keep also like practicing on the technical stuff, because I just find it very important to have the technical basis also in drawing. That's something I've always said. I think you have to be able, like, you have to have a technical basis in drawing before you can like start doing your own style and stuff, because obviously or because I think otherwise you run into problems later when you want to try something new and you don't really have the right basis in drawing or in tattooing in this case. You just run into a wall. And I don't really want that to happen. I really want to get a strong sense of the technical side of tattooing so that I can later do my own thing with it. Then I also just think I wanted to kind of touch upon tattooing and art in general. I think that tattooing is, I already kind of touched upon it with the illustration thing I just said. I'm very interested in what tattooing is gonna become or evolve to, because I feel like as tattooing becomes more mainstream and more accepted in society or in general, I think it's gonna be getting more and more also a place into the art world, the more the normal art world. I think with illustration, you said it a lot already. People getting illustration tattoos, making designs in illustration styles. But then even maybe at some point getting it into like the fine art world. Very interested in how that would ever evolve. I think tattooing and fine art up until this point has always been kind of a gimmick more. It was more like a means to an end rather than really trying to do something interesting with something new in combining this medium into the fine art world. I also... then again, I'm not sure if it's really necessary to like push tattooing further. If tattooing would stay the same as it is right now for the rest of eternity, I think I would also be very happy with it. Because nowadays we also see obviously like a lot of trends in tattooing. As tattooing has become more mainstream and things like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube have become very easy to share things on and very easy to like create virality, making viral videos or viral styles or trends. I think with that, tattooing has also become really a victim. I'm gonna say a victim to the trends, to tattoo trends. I think there's a lot of tattoo trends that have been obviously, like you can also take it way back like to like the tribal stuff, for example, from the 90s. That was also a trend in a way. A lot of people now have tribal tattoos from the 90s that they're not really happy with because it was a trend back then and they don't really like it anymore now. Obviously now it's getting like, again, it's getting a research in the neo-traditional, the neo tribal, okay. Wow, Jesus Christ. The neo-tribal stuff, that's really getting like a resurgence now and getting more, again, like getting a lot of attention. But inside that, I still feel like you see today there's a lot of very successful traditional tattooers that's something like that just always gets this, it has a steady just foundation of existence, of being like an interesting style. People always kind of, traditional tattooing from the start of tattooing up until now has always had a place. So that's something I also really find interesting about the traditional, and it's also why I really want to be a part of it and keep it alive in a way, I think, as well. But then also like put my own stuff into it. I think there's also a lot of very interesting tattooers that I know, that I've been to, that do this. I can maybe name a few tattooers that have tattooed me. There's someone I really like, Inaki Aires. He's a Portuguese guy who I've always said that his style of tattooing, or his visual style, is like a very cool mix between the traditional style and then also his own visual language. And I think his visual language also really inspired me, or it's really kind of also like touches a little bit with mine. I've always really felt that. Then also guys like Black Raptor Tattoo in Ghent here. It's a great guy who I've been to a lot of times. He really gets like, he does a traditional style, but really puts his own thematics into it. Very cool images. A guy like Thomas Redderey from Brabos Hand in Antwerp here. Also like great images, very much inspired by the old school things, but very, very much his own. You can really see when the tattoo is done by him. I can keep naming them, but that might not be that interesting for you guys. I will try to put some images up on the screen and their Instagram, so you can go look them up if you want more want more recommendations for in Belgium, I can always send them to you in the comments. So feel free to ask. Yeah, I think I've kind of come to the point where I don't have anything else to say. Yeah, just in general recap, I'm starting to learn to tattoo. If you are in Ghent and or like in the neighborhood of Ghent, Belgium, and are interested in getting tattooed and would want to get tattooed by me, let me know. I am still learning, but I'm very much open to like search for a way that we can come to a design that's both technically doable for me, but also interesting for you. And then outside of that, I am really interested in what you guys think about this format of video. If you have any opinions or anything, you want to say anything about something I've said today, feel free to open the discussion in the comments, and I will be sure to react to it when I get the chance. And then if you're still watching or still listening, I really want to thank you a lot. And if there's something else you're like interested in my opinion about, for some reason, I guess also put that in the comments. But I think I will, like once every month, maybe I will make this type of video if I have any topic that I feel I have something to say on. That's it, I think. I'm going to stop talking because there's just less and less coherent words coming out of my mouth now. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, maybe subscribe or like this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.